Before we get into this episode, I want to share a trigger warning. We're going to be talking about non-consensual touching of underage people. So if that's something you're not okay with hearing about right now, this is your heads up. Okay, here's the episode. In 2009, 5 Tampa students reported their assistant principal touched their bare feet when no one else was around.
It's like, what? You're doing some toe popping or something? What is that?
The school district told him to cut it out and continued to promote him up the educational ladder. More than a decade later, new accusations of unwanted foot touching in a different state.
People who are inappropriately touching students have no place in our school systems.
We're connecting the dots over the past 12 years. Let's see what's brewing. Hi, I'm Jenna Bourne, and I'm an investigative reporter at 10 Tampa Bay. If you're new here, welcome to our caffeine-fueled, homemade deep dive into issues that matter to you. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I want to be clear about something right off the bat. We're not hating on foot fetishists. There's a difference between having a fetish and forcing it on an unwilling participant. It's a bigger problem if that unwilling participant is underage. And it's an even bigger problem if you're a person who's in a position of power over underage people. And that's the accusation here. At least 8 boys and young men have accused Olayinka Alege of unwanted foot touching since 2009. That's the year a child protective investigator talked to 5 students at King High School in Tampa who all shared a similar story. Their assistant principal would pop their toes as punishment for bad grades.
You dug up an unusual case. Just when you think, maybe I've seen a lot, then somebody just has to show you you haven't seen everything there is by a long shot.
Dr. Randy Alexander is a child abuse pediatrician in Jacksonville.
In a child abuse context, one of the things we have to be concerned about is some people that really have, in essence, a foot fetish. And is that a sexualized behavior, or at least problem with boundaries?
According to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office records, one boy said he's had his toes popped by Mr. Alege approximately 20 times, and it happens often, so he just gives Mr. Alege his foot. And another boy said Mr. Alege told him that he could not hit him, so the toe popping was a form of punishment. The student said Mr. Alege did not hurt him, but he thought it was a weird type of punishment. That investigation did not lead to criminal charges. According to the Sheriff's Office's report, an assistant state attorney felt as though the facts of this case does not meet the criteria for a battery charge, and that this would be better handled through the school board. When I asked the state attorney's office for records on that, they said there are no records from 12 years ago indicating why this decision was made or what follow-up took place.
The legal system is going to say, does this fit our categories of things that we have? And so they have to have a pigeonhole to put everything into. And that's fine for a lot of things. But there are some things that don't fit into those pigeonholes as well.
So that assistant state attorney reportedly said, okay, this foot touching doesn't fit into the pigeonhole of a battery charge, and the school district should handle this instead. So what does Hillsborough County Public Schools do? They dropped it. Their Office of Professional Standards took no action and told the principal and area director to handle through the evaluation process. The principal of King High School at the time, Carla Brewing, documented her conversation with Alege in this letter, saying, "I immediately asked you to stop this process. You agreed to cease immediately and never to do this again. You stated to me that you had no malice intent. Mr. Alege, I do believe that you had no intent to harm anyone." His evaluation for that school year is missing from his personnel record, and the school district had no explanation when I asked why. And his evaluation for the next school year, done by the same principal who told him to cut it out with the toe pulling, mentioned nothing about it and gave him a near-perfect score. Assistant Principal Olayinka Alege continued to be promoted up through the ranks at Hillsborough County Public Schools, becoming principal at Greco Middle School in 2012. 2 years later, in 2014, Alege was under investigation again. This time for an accusation he had a student stay after school for punishment and then massaged the student's shoulders. That investigation found no indicators to support the allegations of abuse or neglect. In 2016 and 2017, HCPS promoted Alege twice to district-level leadership positions. That's where he worked with another district leader, Harrison Peters.
During which this time his work ethic and success in transforming struggling schools impressed leadership throughout the district. I thought I knew him.
Peters got hired as superintendent of Providence Public Schools in Rhode Island in 2020. That summer, Peters hired on his old colleague Alege as network superintendent in Providence. Alege was arrested less than a year later. In April 2021, a teen at a gym in Warwick, Rhode Island told police Alege asked about his shoes, grabbed his foot, took off his shoe and sock without asking, then rubbed his foot for 30 to 45 seconds.
It happened 11 years ago, and within 1 year, it happened again. That's the gamble that we took.
Alege resigned from the school district. Since then, 2 young men from the same gym reported to police Alege did the same thing to them. After Alege's arrest, I sent a records request to Hillsborough County Public Schools asking for messages mentioning his name. And it revealed this email from one teacher to another, sharing our station's link and saying, "Knew this would eventually rear its ugly head again one day. The district covered it up for years and kept promoting this guy. People tell me it continued even when he left King." A school district spokesperson tells me they talked to that teacher and he has confirmed that he has no direct knowledge of any additional incidents. Peters said he wasn't ready to talk when I called him in August, 3 months after reaching an agreement to terminate his contract with Providence Public Schools. "Well, this is my cell phone number. If you do change your mind, feel free to reach out to me." But he had plenty to say during this virtual State Senate committee meeting on May 17th. Peters said he found news articles on the 2009 accusations during a Google search before hiring Alege.
This was the first time I was made aware of this incident. It had never been brought to my attention during the entire time we were colleagues in Hillsborough County. When Dr. Alege told me that he had meant no harm and that in hindsight he understood that his behavior was inappropriate and would never be repeated, I made a decision to believe him.
But Peters said he never told the hiring committee.
It very much concerns me that when we identify grooming behaviors that either it doesn't get up and down communicated through the committee, etc.
So did Hillsborough County Public Schools tell Providence Public Schools about Alege's toe-popping past during the 2020 hiring process? Neither district will answer my questions about that. Hillsborough County Public Schools won't do an interview, saying the decision makers from 2009 don't work there anymore. Providence Public Schools won't do an interview either, or give me a single page of Alege's personnel file. The only record on Alege I did get them to hand over was his employee ID photo. Thanks, Providence. It's real nice. I emailed Alege to get his side of the story and called the number in his court documents and Hillsborough personnel record. I'm an investigative reporter with 10 Tampa Bay. Is this Olayinka Alege? No, this isn't Mr. Alege? He hung up on me. And his lawyer hasn't called me back. I just wanted to follow up with you about our request to interview your client, Olayinka Alege. The judge gave Alege permission to travel out of state, so I went to his house in Riverview. Hi, sir.
Can I help you?
I'm looking for Mr. Olayinka Alege.
He's not here.
Does he still own the home? Is he in town at all?
Not at all.
Do you know how to get in touch with him?
No.
He's scheduled for a pretrial conference in Rhode Island on September 13th. We'll let you know what happens in the comments below. Thanks for watching What's Brewing. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and I'll see you next time.